Hey, preceptors, or should I say simulated preceptors. So, thank you for deciding to collaborate with me to write the standardized patient simulations for our clinical immersion class for our second year students. It's going to be super exciting. So, we're going to get the ball rolling with this email and this video, and it's going to be great. So you'll notice that there's some documents attached to the email: BOC practice analysis, Katie standards, simulation example, and then simulation framework and timeline. The framework and timeline is going to just kind of break up the process of how we're going to go ahead and achieve this into 5 parts. Parts 1 and 2 we're going to work on in February, 3 and 4 we're going to work on in March, and then 5 is April. It's not super intense, it's pretty straightforward, but just so you can kind of have a framework. The BOC practice analysis, as you guys know and have read that and are familiar with it, that's what the BOC exam is based on, and those are the requirements that we have to be able to do the skill set as athletic trainers. The 2020 Katie standards, those are the new standards that we are going up for accreditation under, so that we have to be compliant with. Remember that now competencies are embedded in the standards. So the ones that we're going to focus on that pertain to actually curriculum or content would be 55 through 94. 1 to 54 is all administration type stuff. Simulation examples. That document is my ex-colleague and friend, actually for his doctorate, put together a standardized patient simulation study guide. So for each domain, he created multiple scenarios and simulated patients that students would then go through, and that would help prepare them for the BOC. So what I did was I just took a snippet. I just took domain 1 for us to go ahead and kind of look at, so you have it as an example, because we're kind of going to mimic what he has done and what he has created. So let's start with that. So open that document, the example one. So you might want to pause and open it. If you'll notice, the beginning part outlines or kind of describes just the overview. So this is for domain 1, injury prevention. It provides an overview. It says, it identifies the tasks that the simulation is going to achieve. And then it gives you a basic description of 3 scenarios. Now, he created 3 scenarios for each domain. We're just going to do 1, all right? But you can kind of see how he wrote that. And then they listed equipment, and then they provided a general schedule of the session. So when we go ahead and actually do every simulation, we will schedule an hour, because they should take about an hour. Now, if we have to move that a little bit because of the scenario we create, that's fine too. But they should usually about an hour. That's the basic process for it. The next part where it says appendix, I provided scripts for 2 of the cases. So this is pretty much what we're going to copy or put in our own words to. Ours will probably look similar. I might change the format a little bit, but it's going to be the same. So, we'll figure out the case, a summary, diagnosis, equipment that we need, we'll present the situation. So really much we're going to fill in the blanks with that. So there's 2 examples. So you can see the first one, I believe, is sickle cell trait, and then the second one is a nutrition. So wanted to provide those so you guys have an example, so you can be like, okay, I see what we're going to do, and that this is totally feasible and reasonable, and it's not super overwhelming by any shape or means. So then if you open the other document where I put together the framework and the timeline, that's how we're going to go ahead and chunk things up. So as you can see, for the month of February, we're going to go ahead and focus on doing parts 1 and 2. Part 1 is pretty much look at the information in this email, review things, pick a domain that you want to work on, and then let me know by February 10th, Monday. So 1 week, just pick a domain. That's all you have to do. Part 2, maybe look at the BOC practice analysis and skim the competencies, and really just think about what you do in your everyday practice within that domain, what's important, and then start to brainstorm some ideas, some scenarios, like, well, they could do this and that, or what if the scenario did that, and maybe come up with 2 or 3 kind of basic ideas, or maybe just some concepts or things that we should hit. You'll share that with me. I'll share with you my ideas, and then we will go ahead and collaborate together, and we'll say okay, this is the scenario we're going to do and we're going to put together. So that's part 2. And so I would like to have 1 and 2 done by the end of the month, which I think is pretty much not bad. We pretty much just have to come up with an idea for a scenario. Part 3 is us actually writing that script. So if you go to the example in the appendix or the addendum A, that script, it's us putting that together based off of the scenario we've decided upon. And then part 4 is us just having a face-to-face meeting. So we'll sit down, we'll chat about the simulation, prepare, how should you respond related to being a standardized patient in the situation, and be able to do this and make sure that we're just both properly trained and prepared for the simulation. And that's the month of March. So part 3, we write it, and then we just have a meeting. And that can be a virtual meeting if you guys need to. And I can easily come to you to have that meeting, so you don't need to worry about disrupting your schedule. And then part 5 is just doing the simulations. So that will be the month of April. We will do them. There's 5 students, and they should be about an hour each. So it'll be 5 hours. And we'll schedule that during the month of April. And that's kind of it. So the reason I created the framework was to chunk things down so it was easy and realistic and attainable, and that way it doesn't seem super, super overwhelming. February, we get an idea together. April, we write the idea and we meet. February, we put an idea together. March, we write the idea and we meet. And then April, we implement it. And so I think that's pretty feasible, because I know you guys are busy and focused on patient care, and I don't want to deter from that. And I'm so grateful for you guys to be volunteering. That would be great, because I'm really, really super excited, and I'm really grateful that you guys are helping me work on this. I really think that your expertise will give that real world experience or aspect that we're trying to grasp in these simulations. And you and me working together is going to just help us create better simulations for our patients, which is going to help them be more prepared to transition to practice and become better athletic trainers. And it's really just going to make our profession better as a whole. And so I think that's super cool and super exciting. So thank you. So take a look at everything. Email me by Monday the 10th with what domain you want to do, and then we will take it from there. All right, super excited. Let me know if you have any questions.